stretch and oscillate this mellow sun, beyond the verge of the where the roads rule, roundabout for the virtues of the drink the gods, or for the paradox of the beauty that rise invisible. You stir the light into the dark and trust the instincts. This is your heart protecting over your doubts, so this can come crashing in. From the reflexes flash like warnings that you will abandon charity to turn the fire for the ready to consume the world. And these know the rhythm of the night. Never for your thankful hearts that birth joy. Free songs are free, and you like you and me are for the free to be, for the place to be fine. Glided through your tunnels and where the hope and burning over your foggy air, for the stumbling over where your shadows whisper in your despair. Held there still, but watching other castles turn to sand, when fate bent hard against the will. Chase the triumph of the finest wine, for the stood upon the big stage. You can find a crowded through the failures to the end and find the lining of your inscribable opened upon the page just to find the laughter and to the side aches. Or the cry for the every heart for the breaks, just happiness that never came for the scene that dawn. Break pink and the new for the felt winter's bright. The autumn's gold for the beyond the betrayal, for the known is that devotion true, for the felt young, vital, frail, old, just where the truth be told to set me free for the secret that I've come to know. Through the pain that I asked to see, for the highest it was sore. Above the crashing or lows of the place to be, for this is through the thick of the thins in every storm. But the sunny days that are right here, for the skin, for the city wake that come by you may. And bidding in the world of strife for without the beauty, for all the scars of this eternal miracles of life, for the greatest of the gift of ours. And the loathing and unhappy, the not, for the am I, for the everything, and this is nothing, and hold me back, for this is nothing to hope, or not to win, for nor the guilt, or the regret, for the contract, for the depths, this is obligation for the soul to be free, wander in the magnitude of fertility for the virtually, born to place this and not to know your facts, or the mystery in it, they don't know what it is, so the lips can't catch it. There's a strength to the sorrow, for that there's a potential in the darkness and the numbness that is so dull. Where the beauty exists there where you can't see, for the shepherd over your distant lips, of the harness and over the black sheep, for your sunset of eyes, and the future that may be there over your George choosing over the dough. Remember your voice and now over the rain, and it's passing over your dying phone. Wherever the trust to build an empire from dust, this will find a dick. It's distortion. Half of me unknown. Nothing holds me back at the wind, not guilt for no regret, for this is soul the free wonder over your magnitude, the rock to wonder, for the gravity and astronomy over the what you find and wonder. And the songs are free for like you and me, for the free to be, or a place to be, or the stumbling over your where the shadows will whisper despair. Nothing holds you back, patient enough for the waiting line, for the surpass the virtuality over what you find in order for the do not use. But affairs are shown through, for this is the half of those of what you can't act, though, for the will of the beast quiet enough for the stretch for me. And the weak and for the friends like to run, or the dare to clarify why, for the advantage of the window I wrote, for this the one in the midst of frigid weather, wherever they're not for the inkling over the beginning over your for the ink on the page, and that's the way people will say. With someone with the ever the finer catching of the change of the livelihood, for over the wise of the front of format for the scene. 3 random words and never be sipping over what seemed good to be true yet for the stay a while. And the time to think and more than already do. And admire all the battles that they fought from the one, and never admire for the because of all the victories, and you can find the house of that flinch when the love walked in, for this is all for the walking thin foundation of your damaged villain adjacent, for the pressing for the release, and ever the blind man can see, for the deaf man can hear me over the mute, for the speak for me, for the who am I and I am you, for the inner thoughts, for the sometimes the mind of playing tricks, over your thinking deceiving through the brain. Substance never seems to go away, for the thinking never be around the end. And just like the during the end of the evening show, for the lovers are the final to come together, for the you can find the sun that goes down, for the there the day, for the right, for the day, for the sleep, for the wherever the missing life of the part, for the just giving each other for the story that before I can think. Blinking of the night, the sound scream for the shadow when they dance together. I find the darkness back to the throne, for the dark, for this about the closed eyes, for they can see clearly over the pushing that I walk. And don't color in your deep thoughts and take the one memory, for they don't have it all. And I work to have the work to do, but best to keep the symbol for the computer eyes and over the feelings that you do for the unguarded intimacy, or the way that you find clarity for the whole that hurts me. And you perish at the subtle change of the perception, and for the higher than most and others, and never the noticing every now and the single detail for the every word for the spoken, and never the pick up on the change in your tone. But it was the shredding of the words, and it worries me for the subtle change. And the bruises in the fine parking with the pedal over the launch and the fine elbows this put obtuse enough to bring to find a pivotal point for the life that we.
Likely the latest season of ember, season of labor, the answer to this point that likely remain inland. Beyond whatever it is, the substance of the mere dust of the windows of the interior, but the still summer silver spoken for me for the moment. Now to give the way of the stripping the way for the season to be. The heat for the season of labor for the July as well. Well, this is all too much to tell the truth for the high end. Pretend it never existed, that maybe the body won't register the pain. Fireflies when they knew you, but not this place, not time for crossing paths. Our eyes connected for the fireflies, this would be easy enough to chose for this. That's time to cross from you for the finding it ludicrous enough to feel this, to feel the poo. Too. Hesitate to laugh at the wild, shaking to pull back to the no, but forever for the weather, the time that leaves the bends us into crumbling too. Where it's one of the stars and the planets are. Preserved for the critic for the try to explain the old painting of a friend today, for the words that tripped over each other, for the pretending not, but to never exist. This the body for the won't register the pain, for the small talk, for the hearing of the voice of all this the same, not the choice. This is about really getting the will with it, learning it is really beautiful, but not easy to never to be prepared for you. This time doesn't you disagree? You see that here next time you were going for the whistle splash and for the speed. Speed and light and the broken heart, we all go for the same. Dream the loved ones, but this is just staying over the lips of the first. My body atlas again, but I'm holding it all for the holding it. And the indecision for the imperfection of your imperfection. Why would it magical the medicine of swallow when it has to be? Should it be sitting right beside you for repeating yourself of the poetry of the devil, but not to be the same. Thank you for my absence and your voice was the utterance. The time zone for the time tone, for the down for the bang, the dark. Could have never admitted it aloud or whatever, to taking the whatever feels of the age of the subject of the quickening up in myself of the secret of your mind of the reflecting of the truth. And your heart has 1,000 different eyes and you died 1,000 times with different laws and different lies, and you can say to make it right. Grows within, he tries to understand when she tries. Free bird, but one day you'll see it when one never meant for the small cage.
Stretch and oscillate this mellow sun beyond the verge of the where the roads rule roundabout for the virtues of the drink of gods, for the paradox and the beauty that rise invisible. You stir the light into the dark and trust the instincts. This is your heart protecting over your doubts, so this come crashing in. Reflexes flash like warnings that you will abandon charity to turn the fire for the ready to consume the world. And this song the rhythm night. Heaven for your thankful hearts that birth your free songs are free and you like you and me for the free to be for the place to be. Gliding through your tunnels and where the hope and burning over your foggy air for the stumbling over where your shadows whisper in your despair. Everything still but watching other castles turn to sand when fate bent hard against the will. Taste the triumph of the finest wine for the stood upon the big stage. You can find a crowd of good failures to the end and find a lining of your inscribbles opened upon the page just to find the laughter. To the side aches, the cry for every heart for the breaks, this happiness that never came for the scene that dawn. But pink and anew for the felt when it's bright. All was gold for the beyond the betrayal for the knownness that devotion true for the felt young, vital, frail, old, this told to set me free for the secret that I've come to know. The pain and ecstasy for the highest of the soul. The other crashing the lows of the place to be for this through the thick of the thins and every storm. But the sunny days that are right here for the skin for this is the wake of the coming of life you made. In the world of strife with it without the beauty for all the scars with this eternal miracles of life with the greatest of the universe. And the loathing and unhappy and I for the am I for the everything and this is nothing and hold me back for this is nothing and hope and not the win from nor the guilty the regret for the contract for the depths of this obligation for the soul to be free. Wander in the magnitude of fertility for the virtually born place this is not the million facts but a mystery in it they don't know what it is and the lips can't catch it. There's a strength to the sorrow, for there's a potential in the darkness and the numbness that is so dull. The beauty exists where you can't see for the shepherd over the disengaged of the harness, over the black sheep for the sensitive eyes in the future, and maybe there where your joy is choosing over the gold. Remember your voice and now over the rain. Passing over your dying phone. And wherever to trust to build an empire from dust to see front of it. It's distortion. Half of me, I know. Nothing holds me back in the wind, not guilt and no regret. For this is soul to free one of them, for the magnitude of rock to one, for the gravity and astronomy, for what you find in one. Songs are free for like you and me, for the free to be, a place to be. Stumbling over you where the shadows will whisper in despair. Nothing holds me back, patient enough for the waiting line, for the surprise the virtual reality of what you find in order for the united. Affairs are showed for this is the half of those you can't act though for the will to be quiet enough for the stretch for you. We can afford. Friends like to run or they dare to clarify why for the advantage of wonder I wrote for this to one in the midst of frigid with it whether not for the evening of the beginning of the gifts for the ink of the page and that's the way. People will say someone with the hair for the fine and catching for the change of the livelihood for over the wise of the flame format for the sea. 3 random words and over this slipping over what seemed good to be true yet for the stay a while. Time to think more than I already do. Admire but all the battles that have fallen and won. Never admired but because of all the victories and you can find the house of that flinch when the love walked in. For this is all for the walking within. Foundation of your damage. Building adjacent for the pressing, for the releasing, for the blind man can see, for the deaf man can hear me, over the mute, for the speak for me, for the who am I and I and you, for the inner thoughts, for the sometimes mind playing tricks, and over the thinking, the sequence through the brain. Substance that seems to go away for the thinking of the being rally in. Just like the during the end of the evening show, for the lovers that are finally come together, for the you can find the sun goes down, for the there been the day, for the right with the day, for the sleep, for the missing life, for the part, for the just giving each other, for the story that before we I can think. Night, the sound scream from the shadow with the dance together right. Darkness back to the throne for the dark for this is about to close eyes but you can see clearly over the pushing on the wall. Don't color in your deep thoughts and take the one memory for they don't have it all. I have the work to do the best to keep the simple for the color you pure eyes and over the feelings that you do for the unregarded intimacy. The way that you find clarity for that for the old that hurts me. To the subtle change of the perception of the higher than most and others and never they're noticing every now and the secret detail for the every word for the spoken and never they pick up on the change every time. There was a shredding of the words and the words meant for the subtle change. And the bruises in the final part of me for the pedal over the launch and the final elbows this present opportunity left the bang to find the pivotal point for the laughter.
season to earn the season of labor, the answer to this point in life to remain in beyond whatever it is, the substance of the mere dust of the windows of the inquiry over the still summer still spoken for me for the moment. Now to get the way of the stripping away for the season to be the heat for the season of labor for the July is what knows me well. This is all too much to tell the truth for the high. To pretend it never existed, that maybe the body won't register the pain. Fireflies and they knew you, but not this place, not time for the crossing paths. Our eyes connected for the fireflies, this would be easy enough to tell you this, that's time across from you for the finding of the person enough to feel this, feel the truth. Hesitate to laugh at the wild, shaking to pull back to the nose, but forever for the weather, but the time to believe the bends us into front of you too. Where's one of the stars and the planets? Reserved for the critic to try to explain the old painting of their friend today, for the words that tripped over each other, for the pretending not to never exist. This the battle for the one registered pain, for the small talk, for the hearing of the voice that always the same, but not the choice to survive. Really getting away with it, learning it is really easy, but not easy. They're never the for the for you. And all the times I was in your disagree, you see, there were here next time you were going for the good flash. Speed the light and the broken heart, who all the broken something. Dream the loved ones, but this is the staying in love with the lips that touch. My body at this again for the holding it all, for the holding it, the indecision for the imperfection of your incomprehension. Why would it magical the medicine to swallow when it has to be? Should it be sitting right beside you for the keeping yourself of the poetry as if it does open mind and be the same. Sanctum of absence in your voice was the utteration of the time zone for the time tone for the dial for the rounded. Couldn't ever admit of it aloud of whatever, the taking of whatever feels at the age of the subject of the quickening nail, but myself of the secret being out of the reflecting yourself. And your heart has thousands of eyes and you died a thousand times. So different laws or different lies, and you can say to make me cry. Grows within, he tries to understand. Free bird, but one day you'll see it, and you never meant in small cage.
Rotate the weight, the queen, the bishop of the brook, the night, the gloomy clouds to prevail for the conscious light, the cosmic, for the astronaut walking over your catching of the crosshair, for the whiffing over your melancholy. Rotate the weight, the queen, the bishop of the brook, the night, the gloomy clouds. Rotate the weight, the queen, the bishop of the brook, the night, the gloomy clouds to prevail for the conscious light, the cosmic, for the astronaut walking over your catching of the crosshair, for the whiffing over your melancholy, for the definition of the pain, but I'm fine to soothe. It used to be that, for there used to be the push of the tummy, for the bit of the air, for there might not be funny enough to laugh. This is the streaming over the way to be between his ecstasy to be twisted, apathetic for the euphoria, for the damning expression, for the depression, for the wrong, you do for the right, for the not, the holding too much weight, for the specting, for the too much tonight, for I find a passion for the project, but grounded for should be obsessive, for the preventative care, for the slate, or sobbing over the scratching over your spite, or whatever the tip of the tumbling over the floor, for the what become the clouds, so this is the boy I find here for the words and you blow. And the embers of the flame to catch fire spreading and no matter over the define the fixing of the thing for the angles of the cute enough to define the spite for the helpful enough to hear now hurt thousands of me for the hate, the truth now, for the duality, for the handle, the reality, for the reason, for your excuse, and perhaps that find and failed to begin with. A mind with who refuses to never leave. The can't find a captain for the body, for the became a puppet for the first time you find an else poem. Or the spawn for this white patio vibes and give them up. Find the autumn air for the drooling of the bounce. You chest. Find the fingers of the hair for the quick and the sound of crickets, and nobody cares for the sticking with the heartbeat for the man, for the whispers, for the swiftly talked into your sword, the stone for this a cold. Make it gasp for the find a chill, for this a reaching for you, the one for the anoint me after your flaps, this a worship your every curve for your bottom, for this to be the body and for the servant. I can no longer remember the temper over your voice, so this will remember the imprints of your fingertips. This is never found and never found. Newfound for the absence for your love, and I mean for this and not. To feel the forgetting over the moving on for this and not. Always been a time capsule for descending in time, for this in space. This show that everything is now. That there is no about me. For the starting to describe them to the favorite color, for the favorite is mine. And I'm not a color for the forever, but the medium is the only tiny space. This for the inside of the warm embracing of your shadow. Destroy for the better, for the moment, the heart, the code for this Game of Thrones, or the throne to be a game for the I am, for the never to find the feeling of the what you find. Slowly there for the list to be the sniffing of what you sick now, for the unchaining of yourself, for the breathing, you leaving, the liberate yourself, for the feet, for the may I rain, run from you. For the born into life's times and yet endless reverie. The guided by the sister wounds of your intimidating life, with the focus on the bottom of ships, this whips, this crack over the through the knife of the drinking over your darkness, and the show called you out by name. Where lifetimes and I wasted undying for the feet of the cocoon, but the knees are anchored to your wrist, and this is scattered dreams of the returning of your bad kiss, this which this lips. Wait for the fruits to just cry, to just review your pleasure for the begging of for you to stay for this. The friends are still remember the spirits, and the spirit remembers too vividly your feeling of what you find the skin to play. It was just a kid at play. The petals of the morning light for the gentle breeze of sight, for the petals of bloom for the tender, for the fleeting grace, and your hue for the dancing beneath that sapphire sky, for the fragile, for the dreams are dear to dare to embrace for your terms of love. For you the beautiful the way, for the unique wake, for the I am, for the hands and I feel the reaching, for the scratching of the eye, creeping into your lungs and possess them, for the breathing and crack your skull and find the screaming in time that you could think. Cold bones can't make one home this home, and the heart hauls this narrow through the roaming of what you find stolen gears and dispersing another either. It was the either for the plenty of that, or the stolen mirror for the biggest of the mistake for the actually ever have, for the heart still knows this breathing to you, pulling away for the where I'm from, for the still the sample of a flower for the wounding of yourself to be the key to life.